Captain Alex Torres stood on the bridge of the exploration vessel Dawn's Edge, watching the scanner readings with growing concern. 3 months into their deep space mission, they had discovered something that made no sense according to Galactic. Records dot the ship drifted near an ancient space station, clearly abandoned for centuries. Its design matched no known species in the Galactic Union database. Dr. Lisa Park, the team's historian, worked frantically at her console while engineer Tom Blake ran structural scans. "This station is at least 500 years old," Lisa reported. "But the technology, it's more advanced than anything we've seen from that time period." The crew of 12 humans had been tasked with mapping the Outer Rim territories, cataloging new worlds and ancient sites. This discovery, however, was different. The station bore symbols that seemed familiar, yet alien, as if from a half-remembered dream. As they explored the massive structure, they found data cores still functioning. The translation programs worked slowly, revealing fragments of a civilization that called themselves the Vex. The record spoke of a great war, of a species that had challenged the entire galaxy and lost. But there was something else in those records. References to the small ones and the forgotten enemy appeared repeatedly. Tom discovered that the Vex had detailed files on hundreds of species, including several that no longer existed. Near the end of their search, they found a sealed chamber. Inside, holographic displays still functioned, showing star maps and tactical information. One display made Alex's blood run cold. It showed Sol System, Earth's location, with detailed notes in the Vex language. The translation was chilling. Primary threat eliminated. World burning confirmed. Species designation, human. Status, extinct minus 347 cycles ago. The crew exchanged worried glances. According to this record, humanity should have been wiped out over 3 centuries ago. Yet here they stood, very much alive in a galaxy that had apparently forgotten their species ever existed. Lisa pulled up Galactic records on her portable device. She searched for any mention of humans in the official databases. Nothing. No trace of human civilization, no records of first contact, no mention of Earth or Sol System. It was as if humanity had been deliberately erased from galactic history. How is this possible? Tom asked, his voice barely a whisper. Alex studied the Vex records more carefully. The data showed massive fleets, world crackers, and weapons capable of sterilizing entire star systems. The Vex had been a galactic superpower, ruling over dozens of species and controlling vast territories. According to their files, humans had been discovered on a small blue world in the Outer Rim. Initial contact had gone badly. The records mentioned human aggression and unpredictable behavior. What followed was a systematic campaign to eliminate what the Vex saw as a dangerous species. But something had gone wrong with their plan. Dr. Park found tactical reports describing the final assault on Earth. Massive ships had arrived in Sol System, ready to crack the planet and finish humanity forever. Then the records abruptly stopped. The final entry was a single word repeated over and over. Impossible. 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 The crew spent hours searching for more information, but the trail went cold. Whatever had happened to the Vex after their attack on Earth was not recorded in this station's database. As they prepared to leave, Tom made one final discovery. Hidden in a maintenance shaft, he found what looked like an emergency beacon. Its signal was weak, but still active, broadcasting on an ancient frequency. When they decoded the message, the crew realized they had stumbled onto something much bigger than a historical mystery. The beacon was a warning, transmitted across the galaxy over 300 years ago. The message was simple, but terrifying. They survived. The humans survived. All fleets lost. Avoid Sol Sector. Avoid all contact. They are not what they appear to be. Captain Torres made the decision that would change everything. Instead of reporting their discovery to Union Command, they would investigate further. They needed to know what had really happened during that ancient war, and why the galaxy had chosen to forget that humanity ever existed. As the Dawn's Edge departed the Vex station, none of the crew realized they were being watched. Deep in the station's core, automated systems activated for the first time in centuries. Ancient protocols began running, sending coded signals across space to recipients who had been waiting in the shadows for over 300 years. The secret was out. Humanity was not extinct. And there were those in the galaxy who would not be pleased to learn this fact. Captain Torres' decision to investigate privately proved wise within hours of leaving the Vex station. As the Dawn's Edge jumped to hyperspace, they detected pursuit. Ships entering the system behind them. Dr. Park worked frantically to decode more of the Vex records they had downloaded. What she found painted a terrifying picture of humanity's first contact with galactic civilization. The files revealed that humans had not been the aggressors the Vex claimed them to be. Earth had been a peaceful world when first contacted, with humans just beginning to explore their own star system. The Vex had arrived as conquerors, demanding submission and resources, but humanity had refused to kneel. What followed was a war unlike anything the galaxy had seen. The Vex, accustomed to easy victories over primitive species, found themselves facing an enemy that adapted faster than thought possible. Human tactics evolved daily, sometimes hourly, turning each battle into a learning experience. Engineer Blake discovered technical schematics showing Vex weapons and ship designs. Surprisingly, many showed signs of hasty modifications and upgrades. They were trying to keep up with something, he reported to the captain. These ships were redesigned multiple times during their war with humans. The pursuit ships were gaining ground. Long-range scans identified them as belonging to the Kren Collective, one of the galaxy's current major powers. Their ships were fast and heavily armed, suggesting this was no random patrol. Lisa found a crucial piece of information buried deep in the Vex files. The ancient record spoke of a silence protocol enacted by the Galactic Council after humanity's supposed extinction. All records of the human species were to be destroyed, all evidence erased, all witnesses silenced. The galaxy had agreed to forget humanity had ever existed. But why? What had humans done to warrant such extreme measures? The answer came in a heavily encrypted file that took hours to decode. It contained tactical reports from the final battle for Earth, written by a Vex commander named Keth Prime. According to the report, the Vex had arrived at Sol system with overwhelming force. Hundreds of warships, planet crackers, and enough firepower to sterilize a dozen worlds. Earth's defenses looked pitiful in comparison. A handful of primitive vessels and orbital platforms. The battle should have lasted minutes. Instead, it raged. For 3 weeks, human ships that were destroyed somehow returned to battle, rebuilt and improved. Tactics that worked once never worked again. The Vex found themselves fighting an enemy that learned from every exchange, adapted to every strategy, and seemed to grow stronger with each defeat. Then came the counterattack. Keth Prime's final report was barely coherent, filled with descriptions that made no tactical sense. Human ships appearing from impossible angles, weapons that shouldn't exist based on their technology level, strategies that defied military logic. The Vex fleet was not just defeated, it was utterly destroyed. Every ship, every soldier, every trace of their presence in Sol system was eliminated. The humans had somehow turned a defensive battle into a complete rout of the galaxy's most powerful military force. But that wasn't the end. According to intercepted communications, human ships had begun appearing throughout Vex territory. Not invasion fleets, but small, fast vessels that struck without warning and vanished before reinforcements could arrive. The Vex, who had ruled through fear for millennia, found themselves afraid. Captain Torres realized why they were being pursued. The Kren must have been monitoring the old Vex station, waiting for someone to discover the truth. Now that the secret was out, they would stop at nothing to maintain the silence protocol. Tom Blake reported bad news from engineering. They're faster than us, and they'll have us in weapons range within 2 hours. We need somewhere to hide or someone to help us. Lisa had an idea. She pulled up current galactic maps, comparing them to the ancient Vex charts. "Look at this," she said, pointing to a sector marked as forbidden space on modern maps. The Vex called this region human territory. In their files, it's been marked as off-limits for over 300 years. The area was vast, encompassing dozens of star systems including Sol. According to current galactic law, no ship was permitted to enter without special authorization from the Galactic Council. That's where we need to go, Alex decided. If there are answers to be found, they'll be there. As the Dawn's Edge changed course toward forbidden space, their pursuers increased speed. The race was on, and the stakes were higher than anyone realized. Behind them, coded transmissions raced across the galaxy, alerting ancient allies that the silence protocol had been breached. The hunt for humanity was beginning again. The boundary markers around forbidden space were unmistakable. Massive automated stations broadcasting warnings in dozens of languages. Captain Torres watched the displays as they approached the edge of what galactic maps called the exclusion zone. Their pursuers had fallen back at the first warning beacon, but they remained at the boundary, clearly waiting for the Dawn's Edge to return. Dr. Park had identified the ships as Kren heavy cruisers, armed with enough firepower to reduce their exploration vessel to atoms. "The warning broadcasts are interesting," Lisa reported from her station. "They mention dangerous spatial anomalies and hostile automated defenses, but nothing about humans or why this area is really off-limits." Engineer Blake was monitoring their systems as they crossed into forbidden space. "I'm reading some unusual energy signatures ahead," he announced. "Whatever's out here, it's definitely artificial." The first sign that they were not alone came 30 minutes after crossing the boundary. Long-range sensors detected a massive structure orbiting a dead star, clearly artificial. But unlike anything in their databases, as they approached, more structures became visible. A network of stations, platforms, and defensive installations spread throughout the system. The technology looked human, but far more advanced than anything Earth had possessed before the supposed extinction. "Captain," Tom called out, his voice tight with concern. "We're being scanned, multiple sources very sophisticated. Whatever's out here knows we're coming." The response came faster than expected. 3 sleek vessels emerged from behind one of the larger stations, moving with impossible grace. Their design was unmistakably human in origin, but they looked like they belonged centuries in the future. "Unknown vessel, identify yourself." The transmission was in perfect English, but the voice carried an authority that made everyone on the bridge tense. Captain Torres activated communications. "This is the exploration ship Dawn's Edge, Human Registry. We're seeking answers about our species' history." A long silence followed. Then, "Human Registry? Impossible. Transmit your genetic profiles and historical records immediately." As they compiled the requested data, Lisa made a startling discovery. The massive installations around them weren't just defensive platforms, they were cities. Entire populations lived within those structures, hidden away from the rest of the galaxy. The response to their data transmission was immediate. The 3 patrol ships moved closer, flanking the Dawn's Edge in what was clearly an escort formation. "Follow us," came the command. "The Council of Survivors will want to speak with you." As they were guided deeper into the system, the crew saw wonders that defied imagination. Entire asteroids had been hollowed out, and converted into habitats. Massive ships moved between installations, carrying goods and people. This wasn't a hiding place. It was a thriving civilization. How many people live out here? Tom whispered, staring at the displays. Their escort commander seemed to hear him. Somehow, 12 billion souls across 47 systems, came the reply. All that remains of humanity's children. The main station was enormous, easily the size of a small moon. As they docked, Captain Torres and his team were met by representatives who looked human but bore subtle differences, enhanced physical capabilities, technological implants, and eyes that seemed to hold the weight of centuries. The leader introduced herself as Commander Maya Stone. You claim to be from the homeworld, she said, studying them carefully. But Earth was destroyed over 300 years ago. We watched it burn. Dr. Park stepped forward. We found Vex records suggesting humanity survived their attack. We're from Earth. The real Earth. We've been there all along. The statement caused visible shock among the station personnel. Commander Stone led them to a briefing room where holographic displays showed the history they had never learned. The attack on Earth had indeed failed, but at terrible cost. The planet had been damaged, its population reduced to mere millions. But humanity had learned something crucial from the assault. They were not welcome in the wider galaxy. The survivors made a choice, Stone explained. Some stayed on Earth, hidden behind defensive systems that made the planet appear dead. Others left, establishing colonies in secret, building a shadow civilization that the galaxy never knew existed. She gestured to displays showing hidden human settlements throughout. Forbidden space. For 3 centuries, we've grown in secret, advanced our technology, and prepared for the day when the galaxy might come for us again. The revelation was staggering. Humanity hadn't just survived, they had thrived. But they had done so in complete isolation, believing themselves to be the only remnants of their species. The question now, Commander Stone said, her expression grim, is what do we do about the fact that you've led our enemies to our doorstep? Outside the station, sensor arrays detected massive fleet movements at the edge of forbidden space. The galaxy's major powers were gathering, and the silence protocol was about to be enforced with overwhelming force. Commander Stone led the crew of the Dawn's Edge through corridors filled with technology that seemed to blend human ingenuity with something far more advanced. The station's central archive was their destination, where the complete truth about humanity's war with the Vex waited to be revealed. What you found in that Vex station was only part of the story, Stone explained as they walked. The real reason for the silence protocol goes much deeper than anyone in the current galaxy realizes. The archive chamber was vast, filled with holographic displays and data streams that painted a picture of galactic history spanning millennia. Dr. Park gasped as she saw the scope of information available, records that predated the current galactic civilization by thousands of years. The Vex weren't just another conquering species, Stone began, activating a central display. They were the inheritors of something much older and more dangerous. The hologram showed an ancient galaxy dominated by a species that the records called the Builders. These beings had created vast networks of technology, seeded worlds with life, and established the fundamental systems that younger civilizations would later take for granted. The Builders vanished mysteriously about 5,000 years ago, Stone continued. But they left behind their creations, including the Vex. What the galaxy never knew was that the Builders also left behind guardians. Captain Torres studied the displays with growing understanding. Humans were descended from their guardians. Not just guardians, Stone corrected. Humans are the Builders' final failsafe. We carry genetic markers, technological instincts, and adaptive capabilities that were designed to activate if their civilization ever faced total destruction. Engineer Blake was examining technical schematics that appeared on nearby displays. This explains how we could adapt so quickly during the war. We weren't just learning their technology, we were remembering it. The revelation was staggering. Humanity's rapid advancement, their seemingly impossible tactical adaptations, and their ability to reverse engineer and improve upon alien technology weren't just natural talents. They were artificial capabilities, programmed by an ancient civilization. As insurance against total galactic collapse, Lisa found historical records that made the current situation terrifyingly clear. According to this, the builders programmed multiple failsafes into their guardians. If humanity ever faced extinction, a next level of programming would activate. What's the next level? Torres asked, though he dreaded the answer. Stone's expression darkened. Total galactic reset. The destruction of all current civilizations and a return to builder protocols. It's happened before, at least twice in recorded history. The displays showed evidence of previous resets, vast civilizations that had risen and fallen, leaving only traces in the deepest archaeological records. Each time, humanity had been there at the end, serving as both witnesses and executioners. The Vex knew, Stone continued. Their oldest records contained warnings about the final species, humans. They tried to eliminate us before we could fulfill our programming, but they made a critical mistake. They made us angry, Torres realized. Exactly. Builder programming activates based on threat assessment. The Vex attack on Earth didn't just fail. It triggered the first stage of reset protocols. That's why human technology advanced so rapidly. During the war, why our tactics became so effective. Tom Blake was studying fleet deployment records from their hidden civilization. How close are we to full activation? Closer than you might think, Stone admitted. Your arrival here, being pursued by Kren forces, has already triggered early warning systems. The fact that the silence protocol has been breached means the current galactic powers remember what we're capable of. External sensors showed the gathering storm outside forbidden space. Dozens of fleets from different species were converging on their location, representing the combined military might of the galaxy. They're not just trying to maintain secrecy anymore, Stone observed. They're preparing for war. And they think they can win because they outnumber us and believe we're still primitive. Dr. Park found the final piece of the puzzle in the builder records. The reset protocol doesn't just activate automatically. It requires conscious choice by humanity's representatives. We have to decide whether the current galaxy deserves to survive. The weight of that responsibility settled on everyone present. Outside, millions of alien vessels prepared to enforce the silence protocol through overwhelming force. They believed they were containing a threat to galactic stability. They had no idea they were about to trigger the exact scenario their ancestors had feared for millennia. We need to contact Earth, Torres decided. The whole world needs to know what's happening. Already done, Stone replied. Emergency protocols activated the moment your ship entered forbidden space. Earth's defensive systems are coming online for the first time in centuries. And if we choose not to activate the reset? Stone looked out at the displays showing approaching fleets. Then we fight with what we have, hope we can survive, and trust that the galaxy will learn to coexist with humanity. The choice was coming, and time was running out. The command center of the hidden station buzzed with activity as reports flooded in from across forbidden space. Admiral Sarah Mitchell, Supreme Commander of the Hidden Fleet, had arrived from the deepest sectors to take control of the situation. Her presence changed everything about the room's atmosphere. Captain Torres and his crew watched as tactical displays showed the true scope of what humanity had built in secret. Not just colonies and stations, but entire fleets of vessels that incorporated builder technology with human innovation. The numbers were staggering. 300 years of preparation, Admiral Mitchell explained, her voice carrying the weight of centuries of leadership. We always knew this day would come. The question was whether we'd be ready. Dr. Park studied the incoming intelligence reports. The Galactic Alliance approaching their borders represented every major civilization currently in power. The Kren Collective led the formation, but they were joined by the Stellar Republic, the Hive Worlds, and dozens of smaller species. They're not just trying to maintain the silence protocol, she reported. They're attempting preemptive genocide, complete sterilization of all human settlements. Engineer Blake had been working with the station's technical staff, learning about the weapons and defenses available. The builder technology integration is incredible, he told Torres privately. Their ships can adapt in real time, modify their capabilities based on threats encountered. It's like fighting evolution itself. But Mitchell had more pressing concerns. The homeworld is online, she announced to the gathered commanders. For the first time in 3 centuries, Earth's true defensive systems are active. The main display shifted to show Sol System, where massive installations were rising from hidden locations on Earth and throughout the solar system. Defensive. Platforms that dwarfed the largest ships, weapons that could crack moons, and shields that could protect entire planets. My God, Torres whispered, Earth was never defenseless. It was a trap. The greatest trap in galactic history, Mitchell confirmed. Every species that ever visited Sol System was scanned, cataloged, and their weaknesses analyzed. We've been preparing for this war since the day the Vex first arrived. Commander Stone activated communication links to other hidden settlements. Voices from across forbidden space reported similar preparations. 47 star systems, 12 billion people, all ready for what might be the final war between humanity and the rest of the galaxy. But the real revelation came when Dr. Park accessed the deepest builder archives. The reset protocol, she announced, her voice shaking slightly. I know why it exists. The room fell silent as she shared her discovery. This galaxy is cyclic. Civilizations rise, become corrupt or stagnant, then collapse. The builders designed humanity to serve as caretakers, to decide when it's time for renewal. And the criteria for that decision? Admiral Mitchell asked, though her tone suggested she already knew. Whether the current civilizations show capacity for growth, cooperation, and coexistence with their creators' guardians. Lisa gestured to the displays showing approaching fleets. They're making that decision for us right now. The first shots were fired at the outer defense perimeters. Long-range weapons from the Galactic Alliance tested human shields and barriers. The response was immediate and decisive. Defensive systems that had been waiting centuries activated, neutralizing incoming. Fire with casual efficiency. Tom Blake monitored the engagement from his position. They're not even making a dent in our outer defenses. But they're not retreating either. They can't, Mitchell explained. The silence protocol was never just about forgetting humanity existed. It was about making sure we never reached full activation. They know that if we decide the galaxy needs resetting, they'll all be gone within a decade. The weight of decision fell on everyone present. Torres looked around the room at faces representing the hidden branches of humanity, colony worlds, space habitats, and the secret guardians of Earth itself. We have a choice, he said finally. We can fight for our place in this galaxy, try to find some way to coexist. Or we can accept that the current civilizations are too corrupt, too afraid, too set in their ways to change. Communications from Earth brought the final piece of information needed to make that choice. The planet's deep scanners had analyzed every ship in the approaching fleets, every weapon, every piece of technology. They're not just trying to destroy us, reported the Earth Command Center. They're using weapons designed to corrupt our genetic structure, to make sure we can never activate builder protocols. They're not fighting a war. They're attempting to lobotomize the galaxy's immune system. Admiral Mitchell looked around the room one final time. All in favor of activation? Every hand rose. The galaxy's ancient guardians had made their choice. The reset would begin at dawn. Outside, the approaching fleets had no idea they were about to face humanity's true power for the first time in 3 centuries.